Hello, this is Emperor Haterius showcasing a Minecraft PlayStation 4 edition world that I used to spend a lot of time playing with other people, family, friends, and roommates included. And wanted to show you the progress that I made on that world, the structures, and everyone else's setups, including mine, for a kind of nostalgic, you know, background into what I've done in Minecraft and what I I still have the capability of doing, hopefully, design wise, and also show off because Minecraft videos are cool, the whole YouTube deal. So here we go. This is a map that was on survival mode, and we played it on hard difficulty. I called it Survivor Series 1. I did set it down to easy again, and I have host privileges on, so I could fly around and show different angles and show the architecture and whatnot. So let me load that up for you. So here we are. We started in our command keep in the center of town. I set up shop here. This is my headquarters for building the town. I have a bed there. Mushrooms on the ground. Kind of a cluttery storage area. You have a ladder that goes upstairs. It is actually a tower. It's going to be multi-floored, but I never got around to it. Part of this is left over from the scaffolding you'll see outside that I was destroying on the inside so I could actually put the floors. So let's head out the front door. Sign posting that this is the command keep. Jack-o'-lantern, workbench, and a wall with a map on it of all the area that I have explored in the game in this map. My gaggle of cats here. So we are right there, dead center. So you notice tower here has indentions, and it also has, if you notice the sound, a burning rooftop to help be kind of a lighthouse deal. Center of town. This was our stronghold. That when we started the game, I took it upon myself to start walling off around each level of the ridges of the hills. And another note, this was all forested. This entire area was a forest that, as we started on hard difficulty and survival, after walling ourselves in on the hillsides, I slowly started deforesting and opening up for us to build our town. It went as far as the riverside and went about as far as the rainforest over here, wall-wise, and over here at the end of these clear hills. Another thing you'll notice is the scaffolding I've got here. This was for me to scout out the area from overhead while I was building my tower, so I could decide where I'm going to put buildings. That was how I kind of planned out where each building would be. and aided the others. It is also connected to the top of a stilt building, which is beside the stronghold, which was Ed's house. He had 3 towers essentially. One's his primary housing. Second is his farm plot up in the air. And third is his cattle ranch up in the air. We were going to fill this in and make it actual sturdier stone buildings. But we never got around to it. Right in front of the command keep is a rail system which goes off to the first main quarry that I have, which I got a majority of the stone for constructing this stuff in the center of town. In front of the command keep is a large pool of water, which was a bunch of trouble with spawning enemies, but we still wanted to keep it. So what we see in front of us here is the back end of my forum. The forum was to be the trading district within the center of town. Let's follow the road here to the front. Trees here and there. That is the foundry ahead of us. We'll turn here. And this is the front of the forum, or at least the main entryway. The area that the most space was going to be available for traders and stalls and whatnot. I was going to have stalls lining these areas in the little plaza on each side, in addition to the ones I have in here. These are temporary temporary stalls to hold in these villagers. These villagers I have trapped inside and also protected from enemy mobs, and you can still trade with them utilizing this system. That's the back end of one, but the idea is that they cannot be attacked by creepers or skeletons or anything. Flip open the door, you could trade with them. The manner in which I got them in there, though, was half the reason why I built that railway right there. And we'll see that in a little bit. But this is the back entrance. It's an open air building. It is functional and probably the funniest thing I've done with villagers. This one's just blocked in. I didn't have the trap doors to build for them. So that was the forum. The forum is our trade area with the villagers, and I was gonna put stalls and whatnot. Maybe have a currency system set up in this area. So this here is the foundry. The foundry was supposed to be our big forging area. Not quite completed because I was still designing it in the process. It has these double steel doors here and whatnot, but it's just kind of open. You enter it here, and you can already tell, obviously, the chimney in the center. You've got 2 stacks of forges on each side. You've got an anvil, a workbench, and a cosmetic thing I was going to add water into, like you're cooling the metal that you're forging. In each corner, you have a building set up to have your resources and coal required. And each side, like I said, has an anvil, workbench, cooling water, and the forges. Each quadrant of the corners here would have the supplies, so no matter which area you went to, you would have it. Of course, that would have to be kept up. The center chimney has netherrack in the center, constantly burning. Let's look at the top here. The chimney itself, don't mind the scaffolding in the back there. There's a cool little design I did there. And I added another block of netherrack in the top, so you'd see smoke coming out the top of the chimney. A little touch for that. I'm really proud of this building too. I like the way I did it overall. I just wish I could come up with the rest of it. I'll probably do something of like another angled roof, similar to that, just to meet the doorways. But I don't think you can get through the doorways like this. It'd probably be just above that, so you can still walk through the doorways. Okay, here's the next bit. Ow. Side walkways and whatever still being built. Some of the major roadways still being worked on. This, however, that we're walking up on now, which I will cut to a near completed version, is what the train station was going to be, the railway station. This was going to be another grand project of mine, which was a more reliable railway system, not just my one resource rail that I have. An actual aesthetically pleasing railway system with arched rails going across the map. And I was getting some major progress on laying that out. So this is the Grand Central Station idea that I had. That I was doing that building under. You have the highway that leads to the front, kind of wraps around too. You could exit through the sides. You have this waterfall kind of fountain deal with lily pads, obsidian on the back because I just felt it was kind of artsy. It's going to have hedges with birch trees because I really like the look of birch trees on each side. Go upstairs here. Again, you can exit through the sides and through the front. You have this platform on either side of the fountain you can look over. Columns that lead all the way up to that there. Windows in between each. Larger windows. And here are the main doors. I don't have the central floor designed yet. But I was mentioning it'd be like a ticket station. Here's the rail depot. Looks like I was going to go with the double rail idea. It was still kind of up in the air. I think I think the central bit was going to be where the power for the switches was going to be. That's what I recall now. A rail on each side. So every single beam you see later on in the video will be the center where the power is going to be, and on the other, the opposite sides will be railing. soul sand there to potentially stop the cart, because from what I at the time found out with soul sand underneath the rails will slow and stop a cart. So it was going to go out on either side, 2 different rails, large windows in the back, on the sides as well, with the exception being the big opening spot there. Not really much of a design for the back of it, because it was going to be up against the forum and it would only be a back alley if anything, because the highway was going to go around it. Let's look at the top here. Give me kind of a tower, similar to a clock tower at the top. 2 large roofs, and it actually has a sunroof. Stacked glass. Let's look at it from the inside. Not a lot of light down here. When you get up here though, you've got that there, which I like the idea of. Natural light. A few torches here and there. Another one of the designs I'm proud of, and I hope to utilize again once I've got it put to paper. In addition to that, I have the smaller lights on the side, on each side there, for further light. Here's the entire top. Again, that's kind of a clock tower style deal I was doing in that, with its own little columns, and then the big columns in the bottom on an elevated position. Over here, Set Mountain down the road that way, and then the tundra is up ahead. Tundra that way, Set Mountain that way. That's how I did my signs for the roads. This was going to be a road leading up to the hilly area, which was going to be a kind of a higher temple district. Multiple temples and offices, and very, very Roman looking is what I was going to go for. Kind of spread out these hills. Clear out the... I was going to go as far as this ridgeline, and then put a wall for the wilderness. I really did want to do all this. Have a nice little district over there. Okay, so the next part, and probably the last bit of the central town here, you may have noticed it a couple times already, but this structure right over here, these were going to be aqueducts, maybe fountains, one right here, depending on how I built it. This is the Grand Temple Cathedral of the capital. Took some influences from obviously big cathedrals of the Christian variety. The pillars, of course, are always going to be a kind of a classical thing to me. The stained glass features on the bottom, if you can tell. Features a block version of my empire's flag. This is supposed to be green here, representing the land. Water on each side, representing the earth and the different masses, land and water. This is the banner of Emperor Haterius, the golden H in a kind of lighter green background. It's supposed to be a sunburst on the top, lighting the darkness, which is what is the top there. Kind of a glowy white down the middle because I like the idea of that. So that's supposed to be Emperor Haterius on the land, which he makes his empire in the cathedral. So it has multiple columns set up here. I was still trying to decide how I was going to do it. It's going to be mostly cathedral and look. Outer pillars is going to connect somehow and make it more narrow on the top. The interior pillars have steps that lead up to the sides, which we're going to have stained glasses as well. Be an upper level here. Some chandeliers of some sort we're going to hang. The rooftop I was going to combine my similar styles of the Greco-Roman covering and cathedral styles. And there were going to be two large towers, kind of in a reverse of some cathedrals, I guess. Two large towers that was going to make probably golden bells to be in a higher emblem of some sort to be sticking up. So that is the Grand Cathedral Temple. At least how much I got done of it. This is the railway that I use for resources. It is powered and will take you across the map to my large quarry and to the other locations that some of the other guys set up at. However, it was kind of dangerous in those days, of course, this being on hard difficulty. There's the workshop, and there's the mass quarry. This is the large quarry that was stone sticking out of the sand on a hilltop that I dug into and was getting all my stone from. Ever so gradually I was getting my stone from this quarry and transporting it over to the main settlement. Quite the endeavor. Down that way, down this way, is the village that all those villagers came from. I messed with this track a lot, ensuring that I was able to get the most out of my powered rails because it was a commodity that was not often something I could make, just because I was building so much on other stuff. And then I hit that powered rail there. I was just messing with the distances. There's our mushroom island, which I'll show you later, which I also have a little workshop on. Jungle to the side there. Very plains, hillside area. Coming up upon the forest just before the village. Watch out. And here is our first village we found. There goes that cart. This village is now empty, or at least it should be, because of the painstaking efforts that I went through to get the villagers protected from the mobs at night. Which I more or less, this right here, I more or less hollowed out and I shoved them into, along with horses and other things that I wanted to protect and take later via cart. That's half the reason that rail was made, was to transport the villagers from that spot into town, right up against the forum. If you notice, that rail hits the forum. Not too different in designs for villages in the past. Just very hilly. A lot of buildings, which was nice. It was a cool place to come to now and then. Set up shop. There was a blacksmith, which I believe I set up a bed in. Yeah, set up a bed. Also set up in the church there. Yeah. Whenever I had more than one person on the server at a time, which I would work on this alone a lot, but I would have, like I mentioned earlier, anywhere from 2 to 4, maybe 5 people playing with me. So this was a server we were working on for a while, and then all of a sudden just stopped playing, which is a shame. And in order to show it off, I had to lose the ability to do trophies. So this here is what the new railway line was going to be. I was going to get rid of that one and then make the new railway right there. I was going to make a rail house where that farm is, probably out to there as well. Not a big one, but just a small rail station. And this is going to be the new railway, which leads, instead of off there in the forested area, which I would hit mobs a lot, it would lead to the Mushroom Island. And as you can see, I already had some rail stations set up. Little intersection going on here. So this is where our mushrooms came from. At least some of them. There's still some here. So this is a 3-way railway intersection. Where does this go? Ah, this leads to Daniel's, or Kieran Sohn's, secondary premises. there wasn't any real path other than the ground here. So I'll just do this. Another big thing that he liked to do is make large landmarks, such as a large burning cross, for whatever reason. I don't have any real setup areas over here, other than this workbench, which was a survival hut. I like to make survival huts a lot when I go exploring, just so I can wait out the night and then continue on. Ooh, me invisible is messing me up. So I had a survival hut here, and Daniel took it upon himself to make a second house, which I guess is what his new house was over here. He had a map wall going too, looks like. A water elevator, which you would take up and down to his cattle ranch, his melon and pumpkin farm, his sugar cane farm there. A little bit of mining and tunneling. But look at this mushroom farm. He would complain that he has there's too many animals in the game right now, at least in the area. Chicken farm. He tried to make other areas for animals, but he had too many animals. Big waterfall leading to his landmark, I'll call it, like I did before. Little land bridge. He liked making land bridges in the middle of the air, which is a big thing for him. He makes floating platforms, including this. Oh, the idea is to catch yourself in the water. Don't know what he was doing with that. But up here is where his primary agriculture was going on. 3 plots of land. Nice little tree sitting up there. Aha. Here we have one of the desert villages that we didn't have any contact with that I noticed. There's another one around here somewhere. Jungle. Oh, there's a temple. Submerged desert temple. I always liked the desert temples. Some rather cool landmarks here. Here's the other village with a desert temple. Has a house kind of built on the top of it there, generated on it. Yeah, they're just across from each other. I was thinking about making a desert kingdom in these hills here, and both of those would be my vassals. Finding our way back here. back to our little land path that Daniel would use, which was going to become the rail. Follow the direction that the rail was going to go. Actually, let's make it a lot more fun. Let's actually take the rail back. Go back. Oh yeah, the chasm right there. Forgot about that. Chasm after the forest. Move, chicken. Move, cow. There we go, 2 mushrooms. Sometimes you'd have a pig on the tracks right there. A little bit of lag from the autosave. This track system was really handy. Moving resources and of course the villagers. Here's my quarry. I gathered a lot of the cacti out here. I even made a farm in the opposite direction that we will be heading towards rather soon. Back in the mainland. Command keep. Central point. And we stop right here by the forum, which I would coax those villagers out into. Another thing we have here is my brother's dogs. I failed to mention earlier. I showed that. This rail and this highway I made, which I don't have a rail going that direction. I just have a platform, scaffolding platform on the top there, and this is the actual rail platform. This highway that I made goes to the areas where the other people that joined us live, and also a couple other properties that I made. I'll show the rest of the rail platform in a little bit. Now this is a thing I like to do, which is make large highways that span across the map, so we have the minimum kind of travel. I know people like using portals and horses and whatever. Horses are fine. Use the road, railway, stuff like that. I don't mind. That's why I was trying to integrate it, actually having a train station. That was pretty cool. So we cross the bridge, a little bit of land, get to another bridge. To the right there is Set Mountain, which was where our buddy Seth would set up shop in. He actually was inside the mountain, kind of mining out and living like a dwarf. As you can guess here, this landmark is the first of Daniel's Kieran zones. Went all out on this highway. There were going to be stop points and stations and whatnot to make sure you've got enough equipment on you. I don't know what that was. Right over here, which I'll show you in a minute, is another small quarry I made. Not as big as the other one. It also has a farm for cacti. This is the first housing project that Daniel made. Sky walkway included. Sugarcane. That's floating because we're actually walking on slabs, which monsters will not spawn on, last I recall. That's why I made my roads this way. Side gates lead down to his farm area. And cattle and everything else. Brr. Like I said, over here is another quarry I had to help build the road as close as possible. Survival hut and workshop in there. And a cacti farm, which started out as me making a little wall of cacti to protect myself. It just became a farm to continually harvest it for the dye. Back up the stairs. The other side door here leads to a mine that I was helping construct an entrance to. So we had his farm out that door, mine out this door. The highway continues on that way, but this here leads to his house. Walking platform, ever dangerous, on hard difficulty. The occasional mobs. I constructed this doorway for him so that he'd have a way to block them out. He always left it open though, and that pissed me off. Resources out in the open. Another door he left open. Doors open. Extra bed so I can work here. His diving platform. Overview and diving platform. So there's that. His first hovering abode. Not too humble. Don't recall how far. Okay, yeah, I do. This highway wraps around the mountains here from that side and goes all the way over here. There's also Daniel's floating platform because he doesn't want to use the highway he spent all that time making. Still was working on it. Workbenches here and there. Another grand little bridge of the style that I like. This is the swampland. And that's another spot there I'm going to show you in a minute. This is my swamp. This is my swamp. There's the end of Daniel's platform with the ladder that he fell off of every time. Smacked right there in my pumpkins. So what we have here is the front of my swamp villa and ranch. Farm and ranch. The highway continues on that direction. This is supposed to be a front gate area. I was working on fencing to make it look all high and awesome. I have shrubberies in front of it, kind of a hedge line. That's a temporary workshop and survival hut that I started out with, and then I started building all this around it, and it's still there because that's how I was constructing this until it was safe. Just to have it. Foundry there. This actually was a lava pit, and it still is. That I chose to make a cool looking pillared off area. And this behind the shack is supposed to be the front doors to the villa. Again, some of the stuff blocking off the areas out here, of course, is for my safety because, again, it's hard difficulty. Creepers come out of nowhere. This is supposed to be a work entrance for carts and whatnot that I was going to leave open and actually probably make a rail system to go up to here so I can move materials. And here's the receiving area in the front for company out to an open top courtyard in the center. I don't remember what the style is called, but it's often portrayed in Roman and Greek things. This actual build is based off of something that I saw in Rome Total War. I think the second one. So we have the central area with open air. Let's go to the left here. Hallway. Windows that should all have shutters that you can close and when I can get to it, you know. Okay. Center courtyard to this hallway. Open this door. And it goes out to the workyard. The workyard and the stables. Which I have a couple horses and other mares. This will be... That would be an iron gate there. Just to be the side workyard entrance. Over there's a chicken coop, which I was going to move later. But yeah, this is the workyard. This is where a lot of the animal business and farming business would be taking part in, like all that. Workbench. More storage. It's one of the two residential parts of the building where rooms are going to be. This is kind of like an outhouse deal that I was copying off the design. Got hedges and vines. There's the door exited. This is an archway that's open, which also has access to that same hallway to a back dock area. Since this is in a swamp. This is a Small dock area, like I said. It's going to have little boats. Hopefully they won't float away or get destroyed by lily pads like they were in the previous editions. Another open archway here. We have a side room, which I never finished. Just kind of small side room. This is the next hallway, which also has access to the yard. And this goes into the large residential building, which I never did anything with interior wise. I was going to make it at least a 3-level housing. And back to this second archway is the access to the first farm that I have, the automated farm, which I already activated just before the stream, so there's nothing planted. But the idea is there's water on each side of this multi-level automated farm. And I have it set up where I flip this switch, if I can get to it. It opens it up, and when the crops that are planted in there are grown out, they get pushed off of the plot of land as the crop, and they get pushed down into that indention. I flip it off. The water goes back into the reservoirs on each side, and then when it's all cleared out, go down these steps into the indention and gather all of the crop. And then go up the steps so I don't destroy the plot of land, and I replant everything and repeat. That's how I had automated plant. Okay, that also has a ladder that goes up to a balcony that goes around the back. Another nice view. Starts to see the other side of that. I have sugar cane growing around just about every part of the marshland. Go back down the stairs, back to the open archway, which I was still working on designing the area. Go back through this doorway here. See horses. Back to the courtyard. Scaffolding up there, don't mind that. Now this is going to be a kitchen area. This is going to be a kitchen style area, cookery. In the back of this is supposed to be the larder or meat storage. Small window there. Outside this goes into a small courtyard, which was going to contain the chicken pens and a pig pen. It's also connected to the second residential tower. Go back out that. Back into the central and the greeting area, which is also going to be a kind of a dining room too. Here's the other residential. Again, this is going to be a 2 to 3 story residential building on the premises. And now let us see the rest of the farm. There is farming automated plot 2. A couple water bits because this is a marsh, of course. I was going to have a different crop every plot. So this is the second one. Trees here and there just because I liked them. Still working on building it. This is the third plot. And then I have my ranch my large sheep ranch, which is where I got all my wool. I didn't want to have to go through manually making it. I just sheared it off these sheep. I colored them, and I also offered the colors and wool services to the other people that played the game. If they needed a colored wool, I would dye my sheep and let it grow. Yeah, this is the third plot. Another thing to notice, this wooden wall I have, it's because there's a chasm right here. Couple animals. Chasm right here in the front. Here's the upper view of the villa. I'm really proud of this building, this complex. I want to remake it at some point. I really do like the way I did it on the swamplands here. 3 big automated farms, a big ranch area on the end, a chasm giving me a border there, the highway leading up to it and around it. A very diverse plot of land, and I loved it. The little work door, I was going to somehow implement the rail to probably go over the chasm here up into the air, connect to this, probably turn around and then go to this. This is a rail station that I was building inside the mountain. Actually, the rail was going to stop down in here, and then you get out, go down here, don't mind me, creeper, and you go to this one. You'd switch out carts. Go into this, goes up, continues along this. Those are little walkways just when we were exploring. The rail would go this way. Go around that curve there. Go straight down over here. And this would be a station that was going to go into the earth here. Stop here, get out, join this one to go to the main town. There was going to be a tunnel because this actually is Set Mountain. Set Mountain where Seth set up. And from that spot there, going over here to the main rail terminal. And you're back in town. And with that, I want to thank you for watching. Please, consider the effort you put into things isn't all just for naught. It's a lot of it's it's got to mean something if you build it. That's why I was putting so much time and effort into this. I had friends and family playing this game with me. It's a great game if you spend the time on it. Thanks for watching.